All right, so just a quick overview of everything we're going to cover today. We're going to introduce you to some city year culture, and then we'll go over just some basic city year 101. Some questions that you might have might be answered there. And then we'll talk about prepping for your interview and what you can expect next. And then at the end, we're going to have some Q&A time, and we'll do breakout rooms so you can work with your service year advisor to get specific city questions answered. My name is Brenna Eaton. My pronouns are she, her, hers. So I'm the service year director for the West region, and I'm the Denver service year advisor. I'm from Denver, so this is my local hometown community. And I did also serve with City Year. I served with City Year Boston, so I'm an alum. And I will pass it over to Hawa to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Hal Mohammed and I'm the service year advisor for Sacramento and San Jose, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm also an alum of City Year. I served with City Year Los Angeles as a core member in 2015, 2016, and then returned for a second year as a team leader in 2016, 2017, and then I've been with City Year in various roles and different capacities throughout the years. I'm really excited that you all are here, and I will pass it over to Bear.
Hi everyone, my name is Bear. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm the service year advisor for Seattle and Detroit. I did serve with City Year Seattle and work in the Seattle public school system for 5 years. And now I'm working with City Year. So I'll pass it to Molly.
Alrighty. Hi everyone, my name is Molly. I'm the service year advisor for the Los Angeles sites. I also served with CYLA as a first year core member and as a senior core member. After those 2 years of service, I've served in various capacities in our recruitment and admissions team. I'm super excited to chat with y'all today.
So like I mentioned earlier, City Year has a really strong culture. So we just wanted to start off this call by introducing you to one small piece of our culture. We often start and end the day and often meetings when you have a bigger group like this, sharing some joys, appreciations, ripples, shout outs, or windows. So a joy is pretty self-explanatory, just something that maybe happened to you recently that brings you joy. An appreciation would be an appreciation to another person or something that supported you. A ripple is a little bit different. That's something that you did that was passed forward and inspired others. So just a quick example, if you were tutoring a student in a classroom on a new approach to their math problem, and then later on in the day, you saw them teaching the same approach to another student, that would be a ripple. Something that you did was passed forward. A shout out is just a shout out to anyone, sort of like a joy or an appreciation if you want to acknowledge somebody. And then a window is just, we know it's a difficult time right now for a lot of different people, and maybe you just have a window into how you're feeling, what you're working on, where you are, and how you're doing. So I'll start us off, just an appreciation to my team here, Hawa, Bear, and Molly, for all of their hard work and organizing this, and to you all for coming today and spending some time with us. We're excited to get to know you. And so if we just have maybe 3 brave folks that want to speak up and share any joys, appreciations, ripples, we'd love to hear them.
I can share. Hi guys, I'm Anna, she, her. I am currently in San Luis Obispo, where I go to school at Cal Poly. And I guess a joy would be that I actually just graduated. I graduated a little early, so I just finished. So there's so many thanks for the people who kind of supported me through, like my parents and my friends. So yeah, thank you so much.
I can share as well. Hi, I'm Tara. I'm from Minnesota, and an appreciation is one of my professors has really been helping me with some research on the side. She wasn't obligated to do it all, and it's been really fun learning from her.
I'd also be comfortable sharing. My name's Rory. I use he, him pronouns. I'm in Sacramento right now, and I haven't been able to tell anybody about this all day. I've just been sitting on it, so I'm excited. Big joy, my watershed project, like an environmental project basically, got approved for funding. So I'm really excited about it.
Congrats. These are all awesome. Thanks for sharing with us. I'm excited we get to be the first to hear that. If anybody has any others, feel free to keep sharing them in the chat and spread the love and joy. But we can move on for now and do some City Year 101. So like I mentioned, we'll give you some more information about City Year. We have a sample schedule. We'll talk about the interview prep and the competencies that we're looking for in strong core members. And then we'll talk about next steps and when you'll hear back from us.
Cool. So before I give just a brief City Year overview, we're actually going to hear from a student and her core member and just hear about her experience with City Year. So yeah, let me know if y'all have trouble hearing this, but I believe I should have shared sound.
I think I'm a better person because of City Year and how they helped me.
Amy's story is one of resilience and of understanding that barriers exist. We don't spin fairy tales here. We understand that there are systematic oppressions that our kids face.
It's really crazy in my house because my mom has to focus about everyone. And we have 8 kids, my cousin and my mom and dad. We lost our house about 2 years ago. And ever since then, it's been hard on her.
Amy has a lot of emotions, just like all kids, and sometimes they become a little bit too much for the classroom.
I wouldn't want to do my homework, and I wouldn't really behave well. I would get out of my seat, yell in class, and not follow direction.
Her and her family have their struggles, and I think there's a lot of pent-up aggression around life being a little unfair.
As far as I know, Amy spent time in the principal's office going back since kindergarten.
When I got those calls because Amy was getting in trouble, it kind of made me feel discouraged because all these times I've been telling my daughter that they all have abilities to be good kids.
I feel like that's where City Year does our best job, is in addition to family, in addition to older siblings, we add an extra layer of like protection and support and guidance. There was a plan that we put together for Amy. What we found is that she was very responsive to constant interaction with adults.
She came up to me, she was like, "Hey, I think we look alike." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Can we tell everyone we're cousins?" And I was like, "Sure."
We say that we're cousins. She's pretty, I'm pretty. She's smart, I'm smart. So that's why we said we're cousins.
That was like the first moment that I broke through with Amy, or she kind of broke through with me. There's a lot of factors that go into why Amy has improved over the course of the past year, and I do think City Year is one of them, especially with our SEL curriculum, learning how to manage anger, emotions, and coping skills. I think that those are all really important things that help students manage their energy, and especially for students like Amy.
Some of the things that help me behave better were by breathing and asking if I could take a little walk. So I started to behave better. My mom not getting phone calls from City Year.
What City Year does best is see the bright spots in every student. We're extra adults on campus who care how they are becoming and developing as a human.
One thing about Amy, like, she's a leader. She'll stand up for what she believes. And she'll also stand up as for other kids, you know? She always does what's best, right? Like, she has a good heart.
Amy led a chip protest.
So our principal had banned hot chips, and it was like a big uproar because all the kids love their Takis and hot Cheetos. She had an idea that if every single student in the program go on strike, then the adults would take notice.
What do we want? We want chips. When do we want it? We want it now.
We want chips! We want chips!
The most phenomenal thing that I've ever seen from a child.
City Year changed my life because they influenced me to do good. I come to school, I learn, I get good grades, and I make my mom happy. It meant a lot to me to see this change in Amy because I know my daughter had it inside her all this time. And just to see her take it into action was really a satisfying feeling as a mother.
she's had a tremendous turnaround. I think self-regulation is something that we've talked about with her. When you are in control of your life, you are 100% responsible for every decision you make. What does it look like for you to care enough about the people around you to make a better decision?
And I can influence my little sister to do good so she can do better in class and do better in school too. And then one day I shall pass it on to my little brother and make it go around in the family.
She's incredibly smart. She's incredibly brave. She has so many natural qualities about her that make her such a good leader that I know that she can do anything she wants.
My hope for Amy is for her to go to college, university. I feel like I am a better person because of CDR and how they impact in my life. Thank you, CDR.
So I hope you all enjoyed hearing Amy's story. But some quick facts about CDR. CDR serves in 350 schools across 29 cities and 21 sites. Committing to a year of full-time service means that you'll be serving on a diverse team of 6 to 12 peers in schools. You'll be preparing students with social, emotional, and academic skills and mindsets to succeed in school and life. You'll also be managing relationships and expectations with teammates, school staff, partner teachers, students, families, and the school district. You'll also be receiving robust training to develop your skills in the classroom and beyond. And these learning experiences can follow many different formats, including instructor-led sessions, e-learning, practical exercises, and on-the-job experience and continual coaching and feedback throughout your service year. And then acquiring that valuable skills that help you prepare you to be leaders in the communities and in your careers in the future. And so just a quick overview on the day in the life of a City or AmeriCorps member. This is a super general schedule, and it of course will differ from site to site and even school to school. So I would just keep that in mind as I'm going through this. But as a Corps member, you can expect to arrive at school between 7 to 7:30. Our teams typically arrive at school before students do so that they can get ready for the day and they can kind of ground themselves and do another city or culture piece like first circle. As students start arriving around 8 a.m. or when the gates are open, Corps members are out there greeting students and getting them excited for the school day. We really want to promote a positive school environment. And so part of that is making sure that students are just easing into their day. At some schools, we do power greeting, which is, I'm sure some of you have seen videos of the chants that Corps members do outside of the school and even saw in the video with Amy. Those are some things that you can kind of expect to do before the school day starts. At 8:15, depending on your school and depending on where you're serving and who you're serving with, you might do some phone calls home to just see why students are absent. It's not something we do across every school site, but that's something that you may possibly do as a service or during your service year. And then between 9 and 12, you can expect to be in the classroom supporting students. That might look like doing some individual review with a small group of students or just one-on-one, or supporting your teacher with whole classroom support and making sure students are on task, or just answering any questions that students have. And then at some point in your afternoon, you'll have time, there will be student lunch, but you will also have time for your own lunch. And during student lunch, a lot of our Corps members go out there and talk to their students. It's another space to engage with your students and get to know them a little bit better. I know when I was an impact manager, my Corps members went outside and did recess support and played games with the kids at recess so that they could just get to know them on a more casual basis and in more informal setting. After your lunch, you can kind of expect maybe, if you have time, to go meet with your teacher. If they have time, you might collaborate or just talk about things that are happening in the classroom and share just feedback. You might share your planned intervention that you have that you're going to do with your students, or just talk things through, and that's time for you to collaborate. And then you can also, I guess your afternoon is really kind of dependent on what your student schedules are, but you can also at some point expect to have some planning time in preparation for the after school space. Typically, students get out of school again, it depends on the grade level, some as early as 2, some as late as 3, but the after school program starts, and that includes like running the program, making sure students are getting their the little snack that they get after school, and then engaging with various activities. You can expect to also be doing like homework help in that space, and doing enrichment activities, to just get the students excited. And that's also another space that you can get to know your students on a more one-on-one basis in a smaller group setting. And so there are a lot of opportunities to do really cool things with your students in the after school space. And then around 5 p.m. you can kind of expect to do, again, dependent on where you serve, you can expect to like let students be dismissed from the after school program. Pickup typically happens between 5 and 6. And then once all the students are picked up, you might regroup with your team, review your day, go over any last minute things that are happening, and then just kind of close out and head home by 6 p.m., maybe even as late as 6:15, 6:30 the latest. And now I will pass it over to Molly to go through preparing for your interview.
All right, thanks, Howard. Let's dive into some tips and tricks for preparing for your interview. Can we move to the next slide? Awesome. Alrighty, so our first step is to set aside 1 full hour to complete your interview. On average, they last around 45 minutes, but we recommend just setting aside the full hour to ensure there is enough time for you to ask any questions you might have for your interviewer. Most likely, y'all are balancing multiple responsibilities like a full or part-time job and school, so just be sure to check your schedule before you sign up for an interview time. Also suggest picking a quiet space where you feel comfortable. Choosing a quiet space ensures that both parties can hear each other well. If possible, I also recommend choosing a space where you know you'll have quality cell service. All of our interviews are hosted over the phone unless you're located outside the US. Next is reviewing your application and resume. So while we won't ask the same questions that are on your application during the interview, some interview questions may be similar. So you may want to utilize what you wrote for your short answer responses to address those interview questions. Some interview questions ask how you would respond to a particular scenario. So reviewing your resume can help you think of specific experiences when you faced a similar situation. Because overall, you want to be ready to discuss the ways in which your prior experiences demonstrate your potential to be a successful core member with City Year. So maybe you have prior tutoring experience, maybe you are a student advisor for your school major, maybe you work in a team setting at your current job, or maybe you're collaborating on a school project with your classmates. Those are all experiences that we want to hear more about. Your resume captures, a snapshot of your professional or volunteer experience. So the interview is really an opportunity for you to leverage and expand on those experiences. So those are just some general tips to share with y'all to start us off. Before I talk about the specific competencies that we're looking for, what are some interview tips y'all would like to share with the group? Feel free to take yourself off mute and let us know.
I can share an interview tip. One tip that was recommended to me by the Career Counseling Center at my university is to do a mock interview and record it. So that way you can watch yourself in real time to how you respond and where you're looking and what you're doing, so you know what to work on and what works good.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
I could also share one. I know for me, I took like a career prep class this past year, and my professor told me my biggest thing is that I need to learn how to breathe, because I like talk so fast and I just can't like go straight through my answer and end up on rambling. So just by taking a breath and spacing things out, it will make it better for both yourself and the interviewer, especially if they're transcribing answers or anything like that. It'll make life a lot easier.
I have a tip that kind of goes off of that, where I think sometimes we feel really awkward when there's like quiet space, like when nothing's being said, so we feel the need to like fill it with like words. But sometimes it's okay to like take a second to think about what you're saying, because I've noticed for myself, like I get nervous when I'm in an interview. So I start to like talk a lot, and like just to fill up the silence. But sometimes it's okay to just like reflect that's not a bad thing to do. Yeah.
Something that I found helpful is just like having something small to play with or fidget with in your hands, because it can be a place for you to kind of like mentally direct any like nervous or stressed or anxious feelings that you might be having.
When I've done interviews before, sometimes I might forget what I want to say. So I'll like jot down like bullet point notes rather than like whole paragraphs, because I find like if I'm trying to like read something off, it sounds less natural and also allows less room for improvisation and thinking off the top of your head. So just having like a bulleted list of experiences or skills so you don't have to like try to recall them in the moment, I have found that helps.
Something I found that's helpful for like interview prep is to like have a mirror that is set up like right in front of you, like a small mirror or like a picture of like a person. So like for us, I guess it could be like a service year advisor, and it just like imagine like practicing like talking to somebody or like talking to yourself, and it just like analyzing like like kind of like your breath, like how fast are you like saying your answers, and as well just like trying to help you like get used to like the interview setting, since it's like only something we only do, I don't know, every year or so.
Two things that I use are I always try to make sure I review the mission statement and the values of the organization that's hiring. And then also just making sure that I take my time with my answers, because like many of y'all, I do get nervous and talk a little fast. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, y'all. Definitely keep the conversation going when y'all get into your small groups. I'm going to go ahead and move us forward to talk about the competencies. Let's see. So I'll give y'all a couple seconds just to read them through to yourselves, and then I'll go into each one and talk a little bit about them some more. Okay, so what does commitment to a cause greater than self mean? This one comes from one of City Year's core values. We believe that committing to a year of full-time service as a tutor, mentor, role model is a personal decision, and it's one that unifies individuals from diverse backgrounds to address shared civic challenges like our education system. So, what motivates you to want to serve with us? What is it about our program specifically that makes you want to apply? What does this commitment mean to you, and why do you believe it matters? We really want to understand your motivation and your values so that we can see how that aligns with and contributes to our cause with Cityr. The next one is growth mindset. So this one comes from psychologist and researcher Dr. Carol Dweck. A growth mindset believes in their own innate capacity to learn, grow, and develop, and they see that capacity in the people around them as well. So we can definitely acknowledge that completing a year of service is challenging. So we're looking to hire core members who embrace challenges, look for opportunities to grow, and respond well to constructive feedback from management and their peers, and just really use that feedback to improve. The next one is cultural empathy. So as a member of City Year, you will be working with teammates, students, partner teachers, and community members who all come from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. Maybe you are from the community you will serve and work with teammates who are from various parts of the US, or maybe this is your first time living and serving in this particular community. So how will you take action to understand and empathize with those who are just different in various ways than yourself? How have you taken this kind of action in the past, and how has that prepared you for this new experience? Understanding your identity and reflecting on your values will really serve you well here. The next one is relationship building. So to be successful at City Year, you'll need to be able to build relationships with a variety of people. So ask yourself, how do you enjoy connecting with children, youth, or other adults? What action have you taken in the past to be a supportive team player? How do you respond to conflict or disagreements? We're looking for core members who can listen, read emotional states, take action to understand multiple perspectives, and can work constructively towards a resolution. So think about the types of conflict you may encounter when working as part of the team, and be ready to share your personal strategies for conflict resolution. The next is self-management. Core members juggle multiple responsibilities, work to meet deadlines, and take on leadership opportunities. And they're expected to hold themselves accountable with guidance from their program manager. So consider the responsibilities you're currently juggling, school, work, volunteer, personal life. How do you prioritize? What tools do you utilize to help you stay organized and on track towards meeting your goals? The final one is solution oriented. Does tie into relationship building a bit. We recommend reflecting on challenges you have had to overcome, especially in a team setting. So how do you address conflict and work collaboratively with your teammates towards a resolution? What guiding questions do you pose? Understanding the strategies you utilize to achieve a sense of unity and drive a resolution will really serve you well here. So I'm gonna pause. We can stay on the slide that has all the competencies, but go ahead and share off mute which of these competencies do y'all feel really strong in, and which ones would you like to develop maybe before your interview or afterwards? I did forget to mention, this isn't the only time you're going to see these competencies. So while we're using this criteria to gauge how great of a fit someone can be with City Year, all of our core members who have been accepted into our program will be working towards building up these competencies while they serve their year of service in their schools with their partners. So this won't be the last time you see them. So that's why I ask, like, what are some competencies you want to work on, and where do you feel strong already?
I'm able to share. Hey everyone, my name is Peyton Goings. I'm from New Orleans. I go to the Xavier University of Louisiana. And I really, really am glad to see that a lot of these competencies that are of City Year just really deeply align with my character and what I identify as. That commitment to cause greater than self is really a driving factor behind a lot of what I do, especially service. I believe that we're all here for reasons that are larger than our own, and being very intentional in making sure that we give back to our community and those around us is something that I find very rewarding and fulfilling.
I can share one. So I think for cultural empathy, I think what's really great about that, something that I constantly try to learn and grow in, is I think there is a difference between just like empathy overall versus cultural empathy. So something that I always try to learn and work on is how you can bring in that sense of cultural empathy, how you can understand the way people act, why they act. The way that they do based on maybe a culture that they grew up in, or some of the difficulties that they've faced in our society based off of their background. So I think that's one that I'm constantly trying to work on, is how to bring in like cultural empathy into empathy overall.
I could share. I really like what Peyton said. And I kind of agree with the fact that we're kind of here for a greater cause, I'd say. I've been constantly thinking, like, I'm always thinking about what I can do to improve myself, because I'm not perfect, but I can try my best to like work on things that people have told me that I'm not that great in. So I think that it's it's rewarding to work on myself, I'd say.
Alrighty, thanks for sharing, y'all. Like I said, this won't be the last time you see these competencies. We have a growth mindset when it comes to development with them over time. So let's wrap this up with our interview prep checklist. Um, so what it all comes down to is, how well you know yourself, how prepared you are to share about your experiences, and how well you understand service with City Year. But remember, we don't expect you all to be experts on City Year, so it's definitely okay to come to your interview with questions. Your service year advisors are also here for you as well, in case you have any like location specific questions that you'd like to know more about. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Bear with some next steps.
Thanks, Molly. Yeah, so we're gonna go over some, what to accept next, what you can expect next, and then we'll break out into breakout rooms to do some Q&A. But the first thing is to just let y'all know that our national admissions counselors will be reaching out to you to schedule your interview. Many of you have probably already done this. If you haven't, you will soon. That will just come as an email from them. Do check your spam folders. For emails from any of us. Sometimes when we send them through our system, they end up in spam or junk folders. And so just make sure you mark those as safe. But that will be coming to you. You'll just click on the link in there and go sign up for an interview. Additionally, it's important that you sign up for your, I'm sorry, not sign up, submit your reference as soon as you possibly can. And you're not submitting it, but reach out to your reference and have them submit the recommendation form as soon as possible, because we cannot make a decision on your application until we have that submitted. Additionally, having that while we are doing interview reviews and stuff is really helpful so that we can see what they had to say as well. But if you can't get it in before your interview, don't sweat it too much. We're not going to like throw out your application. Just try and make sure that your recommender gets it in as soon as possible. And the deadline for that was Friday. So yeah, if you don't have it, like I said, that's okay. Just get it in as soon as you can. And then just as far as like when you're going to hear back from us and kind of when, you'll be able to know whether or not you're going to be doing this next year. You will hear back from us at least on April 9th. You might hear back before that, but it's likely that you'll hear back from us on April 9th about whether or not you'll be invited to serve. And if you are offered a position, we just ask that you get back to us by April 23rd, which is about 2 weeks later. So those are the next steps that you can expect. If you have any questions about any of these dates or emails or anything like that, definitely ask them in our breakout sessions that we go to shortly here. And then here are some blogs. So all of these blogs were written by Corps members that are either serving now or served with us in the past. And they are just kind of reflections and their ruminations on serving and what it was like. And they're written for folks that are going to serve with us, so you all can kind of get a better idea of what service is like. So I'll put these in the chat, and you can consume these as you want to, and hopefully they can help prepare you for your interview a little bit, or if you're not able to read them before then, like help you understand what to expect from service as if you do end up serving with us. So I'll put those in the chat right now. And then, yeah, so what we're going to do next then is we're going to jump into breakout rooms. And as just a reminder, these are the contact information for your service year advisors. So if you applied to the Sacramento or San Jose sites, Hao is going to be your point person. If you applied to LA, Molly is your point person. If you applied to Denver, Brenna is your point person, and the Seattle folks will be hanging out with me. So we're going to jump into breakout groups. You can go to the room according to where you're applying. And that'll be all. So after you're done in your breakout rooms, please feel free to jump off and